You're rolling. Good. All right. It is 4:30 according to my iPad. I will call the December 15th Executive and Finance meeting to order. Roll call, Mr. Parrish, English, whatever your name is.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Carol. Here. Schoonover. Here. Kramer. Here. Manny.
Here.
Dirk.
Here.
Frank.
Here.
Severson. Williamson.
Here.
And Cooley. Here. You have a call.
Thank you. And I assume we're in compliance of the open meeting law requirements?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the meeting is properly noticed.
All right. Item 4, agenda approval. Looks like we have a nice short 12-point agenda.
I move. Short.
I'll second.
Motion by Manning, seconded by Kramer. All those in favor of approving the agenda as posted signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Minutes from the November 24th meeting. Anybody have any additions, corrections, changes other than the way they were presented in our packets? If not, I would declare them approved as presented. Moving on to item 6, public comment. We have one from Shirley. You want to comment on SMART goals? Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Shirley Welty and I live on Oxford School Road in Dayton Township. And I was eager and excited to see that the 2026 goals for the administrator will be discussed tonight. This group has talked about several challenges that the county is facing, particularly beginning in 27 with the ambulance service, the budgetary items, as well as facilities and the need for an overall facilities plan. I don't know what framework that you've used in the past as far as setting goals, writing goals, but one that I'm really familiar with uses an acronym and it's SMART. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. It really helps focus what your activities will be and what you're working towards. And so I look forward to that part of the agenda today. Thanks.
Thank you, Shirley. Anybody else within the room for public comment? Anyone online? Hearing none, we will move on to reports. 7A is the radio tower project update.
So the Yuba tower is all stacked. They have started doing main tower testing. They're working on the FCC licensing that's really delayed because of the government shutdown. So they got behind with the government shutdown. So they are still in that process. And I think it's been about 3 weeks, 4 weeks now that they've been working on that. All of for the radio reprogramming support, all the contracts have gone out and we are waiting to get them all back. I believe that we have 6 returned and 4 yet to get. They are working on like the dishes and the pathways between the towers. The goal was to be able to start testing the system this week. With the weather that we've had the last couple of weeks, that'll probably be delayed, but they are still hoping to be able to have the system go live in January.
Maybe not the first week.
Maybe not the first week, yes.
Mr. Carroll.
The FCC licensing, was there some reason that couldn't have been started well ahead of the shutdown? How's that work?
Yeah, there were some frequencies we had to get permission to use, and that was a long process.
Okay.
That took a long time. So when we finally got the final okay on the last frequency, then they could start it, and that's when the government shut.
Thanks.
Any further questions from anyone in regards to the radio tower project? All right, next item is the ambulance.
So we are still waiting on signed contracts, signed contract from the newly created district of Richland Center, Richland Township, Henrietta, and Boaz. Boaz has already signed our contract, so really we're only waiting on the 3. What the holdup is from talking with the city is the language around the district and about the district. They're waiting to get approval from DOR on that. And so once they have that, then they should be able to get something back to us. So that is kind of where the holdup is in regards to that. We have received notice from the State of Wisconsin Employment Relations Commission that the ambulance employees are looking to unionize. They are seeking representation from SEIU Wisconsin. The next step from our understanding is the WERC to hold an election. And so that is something we did get additional information today, and we'll need to provide verification on who the eligible individuals are who can vote in that election. And then we have a meeting scheduled with the municipalities on December 16th. We're really going to be looking to focus tomorrow night on if they are willing, able to create a district and run the service. We do have an agenda and have an overview for that meeting for tomorrow night. As you'll recall, for us to be able to do a study, we have to have clear directions on what the different options are. And so we do need to have some discussions with the municipalities on, are they open to the option of creating a district and then running the service as one of the options. So that meeting will be tomorrow night, and I'm hoping to have monthly meetings until we can get some things figured out.
Comments, Mr. Carroll?
They're considering starting a union. Is there anything the county needs to do in terms of interacting with that union or being, in case that does happen?
At this point in time, I have shared everything with Andy Phillips. His advice thus far has been to do nothing other than, what we're required to do. So that is nothing more yet, but I will be working with Andy through all of this. John Anderson also reached out to me as he had heard that they were starting to unionize and did say that he's willing to help out if need be too. So I don't know a lot in regards to that, other than that they are looking to do that, and the next step is to have an election.
They call it an election or a vote?
Maybe it's
I'm just curious. Wouldn't it be a vote to unionize?
maybe you're right. I think you're right.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Stay tuned for more. Any other questions on the ambulance service? Okay. And we're moving on to county administrator goals for 2026.
So I do have them in the folder. As you recall, I had goals for 2025. Derek and I sat down and went over all the goals for 2026. So these are the things that we will be working on in the coming year. If there are other things or thoughts that you guys have, I am open to any suggestions. We did kind of try to break it down by what are the things that I'll primarily take the lead on, what are the things that our HR director will take the lead on, what are the things that the finance director will take the lead on, and then what will the county clerk's office take the lead on.
Is there any sense of priority on some of these? Because like civil rights plan, we've got to do that.
Oh, yeah.
We do have that, and we got extended through the end of the 2026 year to get it completed. But I have talked with Troy Maggie, and he's already working with us to get that going. I think ambulance service has to be a priority. We really need to start working on that and getting that going. Finishing the handbook is another one that we really need to work on. I do think we need to start talking about staff recognition. And then I will plan to start in January the monthly administrative reports on the website. What my goal is just to really provide an overview of what was accomplished in the month, including board action that was taken during that. So it'll be more for the public. That'll be more of, things, resolutions that were passed, action that was taken, progress that was made in projects. All of it is in the packets, but if people want to go to one spot and look at everything, that's the opportunity.
With a link.
with a link.
With a link. Comments, additions to, we want to put some more on your plate?
I think we can update that June, see where we're at.
Yeah. Any, I don't know if you can discuss it much, it's on, HR director. Put it on the next agenda or administrative update. Right?
Yeah, it is. So we have posted the position. We have the closing on January 2nd. So we will look to do interviews after that.
Anything else? Anyone got questions, comments, Mr. Carroll?
This is a handful already, but I still think some kind of review of the board's interface with the county files and stuff. Similar to what you're saying with the website, but also just through our interface into the county files in terms of finding things. Get something that's systematic, that it's a little easier to go back and find things.
So Derek, do you have input on that?
I think this is kind of, one of my things here is this records management system. I know we've talked about this a bunch of different times. If you scroll down to the second page under the county clerk's office, so I know you brought this up, Steve. I know it's on your list. I know it kind of bubbles up the top for all of us, not just you, in the way that where records are kept, where they're accessible, how we access them, not just for you, but even just for us as we migrated from the 400 to Tyler. It's presented a whole other slew of how do we manage these documents. So this is kind of the thing that I will like to focus on this for 2026 is to come up with a way that the county's records are thoughtfully managed in lots of different ways. So hopefully the website, hopefully software.
Some of my point is already on the list.
That's what that is for, yes, sir.
Great.
I mean, not specifically just for you. But for us and everyone else. So that is, this is kind of, in my opinion, this does require, this is a huge effort because there's no countywide record management system, right? Every department has their own little thing. We have lots of file folders, all that fun, friendly stuff, but this is really gonna take a look at that from a comprehensive perspective, which is probably gonna cost you money. Just FYI, think about that for 2027 because there's no little gnomes and fairies that come in and do that work while we're all at home. It's done by the folks that are here. So there's gonna be support in terms of humans and monetary. It's going to need to make those goals happen. But yes, that's what that.
Good. Comments, questions? Bob, good, all right, let's move on to item 8. Discussion and possible action on the creation of an ad hoc, county city ad hoc committee. Ad hoc committee.
So this started, I believe, about 2 months ago, that it was the idea of this committee to have that. I did reach out to the city, spoke with their administrator. She brought it up at the city council meeting. They are in favor of having a city county ad hoc meeting. So if that is something you guys would like to see created, we could work to create a resolution to full county board. I think there needs to be some decisions made about who will be on that committee and the goals of that. But that is something the city is interested in having, participating in.
Is that on your goals list?
It is not.
She's gonna get that done yet this year.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the discussion is, are you going to want the 2 administrators to be a part of that? Is it going to be just board and policy making, board and council? I think those are decisions that need to be made. And I don't know if those are decisions you want to make before you take it to full county board, or if it's something that there should be some discussions, administrator to administrator, mayor to board chair, how the makeup of that committee should look.
It's not a brand new thing. We've had this committee in the past. It was meeting, and so we continued it. So it would seem to me that we could set up our part of it, designate, we're gonna send X amount of board members to it. And then other attendees from the county could be invited as needed. If we had something going on with zoning, we could invite our zoning minister. If we had something going on with the fair or with highways or whomever, we could invite other county staff to attend. I certainly think the administrators should be in attendance if they're not official, even if they're not official parts of the committee.
Yes. I would think we would want them to be official parts, would we? I mean, just for the information they already have.
Depending on how you envision the committee being organized, I mean, if it is a board committee, then it's board members and city council members. But that doesn't mean it has to be that way, it could be different.
Do you remember the makeup previously, David?
I think I was on it at one time, but it never met, so it's, I think we had, gosh, I'd hate to guess, was it like 3 members?
Yeah, it was kind of varied, like you said, depending on what the nature of the subject was, so I don't know if there was even a.
There were standing members
Yeah.
appointed, but
Right.
they hardly ever met, so.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have the minutes from the last meeting, we uploaded all those minutes that had attendance, people listed on there, so I think it was quite varied.
Yeah.
But my opinion would be that you guys think about how if there is a set of, determined folks you want on there, figure out the composition of that committee, start to kind of piece together the duties, and then we can take that to county board to approve the formation of the committee. And then, next month, take it to committee on committee to get people and stuff like that. So, or I guess in January, approve it at county board in January, and then figure out composition and that stuff after that, and then committee on committees to appoint themselves.
Mr. Carroll.
This is,
I guess I'd envisioned it being kind of both. Coordinate policy, but also nitty gritty nuts and bolts of certain things that come up. And so I would think it'd be a mixed group of people.
Bob, comment?
yeah, a couple of things. One is, if this is a joint group, do we each have to have the same number of members? Is this actually, being it's ad hoc, is there any real voting decision making? So are we kind of jumping the gun? Are we both gonna have three or 5? The other thing is, because it's a city and a county, do we both have to keep our own minutes? Or is this for the records meeting of it, we're meeting in 2 separate organizations joined together? I'm just not sure how that looks, if we need to identify that ahead of time.
Good questions. My question to Derek is, where are those minutes from previous?
They were uploaded in the previous meeting that we
Okay.
discussed this, or the meeting before, I'm not sure. It's been a
Okay,
couple.
we'll find them. They're somewhere within the executive finance.
They're in the meeting packet, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same point. They're in the
Um,
meeting packet.
what do we want to do today? My opinion, let's look at the way it was organized last time. Decide whether we want to go that route or go a different route.
Well, I think first we all need to agree that we see a need for it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think we have that general consensus. That part of our duties, but
Yeah, so you'd have to have a motion to create a committee.
Create,
And this is Bob, I would make that motion. Let's get this thing rolling. I guess we can work out the number of members later, but we have to start with permission to have a committee in the first place, is my understanding.
Yes.
Yep,
Some negotiation with the city over what they envision it looking like. And
yeah,
we can line ourselves up.
Yeah.
so, yeah, we can,
They've got 8 council members
Yes.
and then the mayor.
I'll second it, so we can continue discussions a little bit in here, but yeah, we start the ball rolling, because pretty soon it'll be February and we haven't met yet. Not that we're in a big hurry, but, goals and all typical setting and members and, yeah, I don't know what they did last time as far as minutes and.
Victor kept minutes, the county clerk kept minutes, the county clerk can keep minutes for those meetings or their deputy, whatever, that's fine.
Yep.
I think you guys just need to, if you have a first and a second to approve the formation of the ad hoc county city committee, take the next a little bit of time to figure out how you want that composed. I guess in the meantime, Trish, you and I can work with the city on how they want to work that out, get their ideas, and then we can bring that back in January to say this is how the city envisions this being, created. You all can decide how you want that committee structure to be, and then, we'll go from there, but you'll have to take it to county board in January.
Yep.
You have some time to figure out how it's gonna look or how you want it to look.
Sounds good to me. Further comments for now? We'll know more in January, but with the idea, we'll take it to full county board in January. Hopefully have a structure place with probably some discussion possibly at the full county board. All right, all those in favor of moving creation of a ad hoc county city ad hoc committee on the full county board signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, moving that forward. Item 9 will be the discussion and action possibly on the updates to the Richland County Employee Handbook.
So I have put that in the packet. I'm not looking for a vote at all tonight. This was just added to your packet this afternoon. We are also going to have department heads look at it. I wanted to have it in there so you guys had the opportunity to review. I will try to go do a very broad overview of some of the significant changes that were made. On my agenda item cover, you will see there were some changes that were made that I did not track in the document, changing personnel and finance to executive and finance, Pine Valley Healthcare and Rehab Center to Pine Valley Community Village, added that there is an ambulance service addendum, updated the computer policy names, took out reference to the ethics policy, because you'll recall that there was a new ethics policy, but it did not cover employees, only the board. Took he, she, and changed them to they, them, and then removed reference to campus food service. Everything you will see that's highlighted in green will be removed. These are things that we will track behind the scenes, but does not really need to be part of the handbook. I did update management rights. Per John Anderson, I had met with him, talked about a lot of these changes with him, and he recommended the new outline for management rights. Further.
So green is removed, yellow is changed.
Yellow is changed, green is removed, and then there's also some items that are crossed out that are also removed. Under the management rights, we put a new section in there and took out the old. Under terms and conditions, and this is something that I want you guys to think about, right now how it's set up is every building has a little bit different in hours that we are open. I think it's important that we have set hours across the county, that if somebody wants to know when is that county office open, they shouldn't have to go digging for that information. My recommendation is that all office hours open to the public are 8 to 4:30. Again, I will be taking this to department heads later this week, but ultimately it'll be a board decision how that will look. But I do think it's difficult when it is 8:30 for some, 8 for others. I think 7:45 was one of them at one point in time, so I am looking to have consistency there. Highway would be a little bit different, but they're also not having people come and, they usually don't provide services to people, it's to the community, if that makes sense.
But they have an office.
They do have an office. Their offices are a little bit different, but if we want their office staff to be 8 to 4:30, that is something that we can recommend. But I did leave all of their staff to be the exact same. But I do think that's something I would like you guys to think about. And like I said, my recommendation is that all office hours for departments are 8 to 4:30. We did change the accident and injury section to workman's compensation. We just really updated that to conform with the county expectations. I did add the requirement to take a meal break. There is not that requirement in place for the county. When I talked with John Anderson, it is not something we are required to have, but I do think employees should be taking a 30-minute minimum break throughout the day. Obviously, there are times that they can't, or some departments don't have that built into their schedule. I think about dispatch, they don't have the ability to take 30 minutes and leave. But for all other departments, they should be doing that. In the flex time section, we added clarification to what flex time is. I think there's some confusion between a flex work schedule, comp earned, and so we just really wanted to clarify that. Under health insurance, we just really clarified the language and outlined in there how much the county will cover pending the number of hours that the employee works. I do want you as a board to know that if somebody is WRS eligible, they are entitled to get the county insurance. You'll see that they'll pay a higher premium, but that puts pretty much, somebody could work 5 hours because they're retired, they're WRS eligible, and they would still qualify for county health insurance. Dental insurance, we have inconsistent language in that section. We have that it's a 50-50, the county pays 50% of the premium, the employee pays the other 50%, but there's also information in there about a dollar amount that they'll pay up to, I believe it's $52.39 for family and 18 something for a single. So I took out the 50-50 language and kept with the dollar amount because that's what the current practice is. That is something that we'll look at for the future for employees, but for now, that's what we changed, what we eliminated, what we're not doing, and kept what our current practice is. There is currently an agreement with county elected officials on the county covering their dental insurance premium, but we're trying to get more information about where did that come from? Was it a resolution? Is it just past practice? Where is that at? How did that start? So there will be or may possibly be more information in the future in regards to that. Under retirement section, we clarified the language. Under the holiday section, we clarified that veterans are able to have Veterans Day off as long as they have benefited time to use. So what it said in there was veterans had the ability to take the day, use their floating holiday. Well, not everybody has a floating holiday. I thought about taking that out, but that doesn't protect the veteran's ability to have the day. So we have in there that if they have benefited time, they can use that and are guaranteed to have Veterans Day off. We clarified under bereavement leave, eligible relationships. So there have been some recent questions about a great aunt, great uncle, are those qualify? So we did clarify that those are not covered under bereavement leave. The comp and overtime sections, I have been working with John Anderson on this, and he will be providing more updates to this section. We clarified exempt versus non-exempt employees. We are clarifying that exempt employees minus department heads or elected officials can earn comp time, but they will never get it paid out. Right now, they have it where they can get it paid out at the end of the year if they get over 40 hours in their comp bank. I don't think we should be doing that. I think if you're exempt, we'll allow you to earn comp, but at the end of the year, if you don't use it, you lose it. But we did really try to clarify who's considered exempt, who's non-exempt. We do need to clarify the overtime section on non-exempt employees. From my communications with John Anderson is if they're going to be able to earn comp, we need to have that laid out that when you start working for the county, if you are non-exempt and you're going to be earning comp instead of overtime, we need to have that clearly laid out in the handbook. So that's language I'm working to clear up with him. Our current voluntary sick leave donation policy. So right now you could get up to 60, I think it's 60 days donated to you if you had a catastrophic incident. If somebody has donated 60 days but only needs 30, the 30 days are lost. And I don't think it should be that way. I think the 30 days should then go back to the employee who donated it to them. And so I just cleaned up the language to say, to show that. I clarified rules of conduct. I added falsifying a timesheet as a grounds for termination. Under repeated absences from employment, I do intend to add to that section, including taking time off without pay. One thing I have found is we have people who say, well, I just don't have any time left. I'm still going to take this afternoon off. That's not acceptable in my mind. And so we need to make it a disciplinary issue, and we need to be very clear that if you don't have time to take, you shouldn't be taking time off. Employees get a pretty decent amount of time between sick, between holidays, between vacation. We shouldn't be having employees that are constantly running out of time when they don't have an FMLA issue. If they have that, it's very different. But if they don't, and they're just a poor manager of their time, we need to be very clear that that's not acceptable.
Do you have some way to track attendance?
Through the time clock system. So now every single department should have a clock in and a clock out system.
So then do we have a policy that tells, so like where I work, there's a percentage, right? So you get to this percentage, you receive the corrective action. You get to this percentage, you receive this corrective action.
We don't, but that's something I can work on.
I mean,
Warning system when they're,
yeah,
they just start to run out.
it starts at X but then you have and it lasts for a year. So like, we don't have time, like sick time, stuff like that, you have PTO time. But what it's done is that you can call in however much, but there's specific rules on what it equals when you do. I think that would clear up I'm taking the afternoon off, I don't have the time. Yeah, you're more than welcome to take the afternoon off, but this is what it equals. Because then if you get someone who continually does that, it's gonna show them that eventually this didn't work out with us. Or hey, I can't do this anymore because it's gonna affect this. So it'd be good to have some type of.
We have nothing as of right now for people that would.
I believe Pine Valley has something laid out. I don't know if individual departments do, but as a county as a whole, no.
We have, direct deposit, obviously.
Yeah.
If somebody asks for a hard copy, their benefits be listed on that.
They have,
Vacation and personal time left.
they all have access to the Tyler ESS portal. I think it's employee self-service that they can go in at any point in time and see. I think the only thing, and even in your timesheet now with our new timekeeping system in Tyler, you can go in there and when you're requesting time, it'll show you how much holiday, or not holiday, vacation.
There's no excuse.
There's no excuse. No excuse. And I did remove the reference to the county code of ethics. I kept the, under L, went too far.
Sorry.
That's okay. Under L, it used to say no department head or county employee, shall do the following per the county code of ethics. I kept everything in there. I just removed the reference to the code of ethics. I cleaned up the harassment section, but as you can see, that was in my goal. We do need to have a very good and an improved harassment policy. Ours is pretty darn old. And I completely skipped the hiring and employment considerations section, and we'll task the new HR director to do that. That'll be one of the first tasks when they come, is to really outline that hiring process. Under the telephone policy, I added information that their cell phone data, if they're provided one, is not to be used for personal use. Jury duty, I added the language from the resolution that talked about if you're a county employee and you're called to jury duty, you're allowed to go, but the check that you get has to be turned into the county, and also information that if you're not picked, you need to go back to work if you were scheduled to work. There was a section just called credit union. I changed it to direct deposit and had language that employees are required to use direct deposit. And then we will attach the wage scale as appendix A to the document. So if there are changes that come to it, it's easier to just change one document than have to go mess with the whole thing. I will add my notes to the packet afterwards so that you have them. And if you have questions between now and the next meeting, please reach out to me. I will be sharing it with department heads this week. And then I will be making those changes that John Anderson had, that department heads may be recommended, and we'll be putting it into the next packet so that we can hopefully vote on it at the next meeting.
Mr. Carroll.
Are there still, I forget what the term is, appendixes or whatever, specific departments that need a little more detail, like, for example, where they have different shifts for hours and kinds of things that aren't exactly.
Highway and HHS are the two that haven't been reviewed this year.
Okay.
So I did talk with each of those two department heads, and each of them said they will take a look at it. And if need be, we'll bring it to their home for review.
Further questions, comments? Good, yeah, a lot of good work. I guess we're on to item 10, correspondence. Mr. Kalish, nothing. Future agenda items. I had wrote down HR director, but you already gave me a little update on that. We'll probably bring this back up in January. Anybody else with agenda items? So, you said you and Derek have kind of set goals for our new corporate council coming on in January.
Yeah, so I'll be sharing it with department heads, kind of expectations, how to reach out to them. So that'll be shared with them and I can bring that information next month, so you have it. I have met with them once and have weekly meetings scheduled in January and then every other week in February and March, and they will be meeting with department heads in January.
I have a question. I don't know if it'd be this committee, but how do we educate our county public on who represents them in their, I mean, there are so many people out there that have no idea who represents them on the county board. I have no idea how to even start educating them on that. And then there's a lot of them that don't even own a computer, so putting it on a website isn't gonna work. I just have no idea how we can educate our public on who represents them for the county board.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may. I guess if they don't have access to the internet or a computer, you'll have to go back to old school maps to figure out where you live and what those maps are drawn like. But if they do have access to, the internet, there's a site called My Vote that has voter registration information. It has who your elected officials are. It has all that contact information for the entire state, countrywide. It has everything on there. So if you were ever asked, and that's where I would point you to go, is to tell people to go to My Vote. If they literally Google My Vote Wisconsin, I think it's myvote.wi.gov, but nonetheless, if they Google My Vote Wisconsin, it's gonna have everything on there. Even if they want, ballot information, their elected officials information, the clerk's contact information, there's a ton of information on there. The other site people can look at is Wisconsin Elections Commission, but that's really more election related. But if we're talking about representation, My Vote's gonna give you that information. They can call the county clerk's office. I'd be happy to look up someone's address and tell them who their contact person is and either, share that information with them. I guess there's onus on the public that if they want to determine that information, then if they don't have access to it electronically, then we do have a county courthouse that's quite visible in the county and they can come up here. But I mean, My Vote is really super, super, super helpful for lots of things, for lots of things voter election related. But I mean, they can call the office and anyone in the clerk's office or even the administrator's office can help them find out who their representation is. We have maps. The maps are posted on the county's website as well. So those, I know not everyone has access to a computer, but that's where most of the information is stored efficiently, if not on paper. So that would just be my 2 cents, I guess.
I got one more cent for you.
Yeah.
When I was getting my nomination papers, an elderly couple, reached out and wanted to do an absentee ballot, but they don't have a computer, nor do they have Wi-Fi.
Right.
So
elections are administered at the local level in the state of Wisconsin. It's very decentralized. It's one of the most decentralized, I think, in the country. So in that case, the county doesn't administer elections. That's done between the cities, villages, and towns. So if it is something with voting and getting a ballot or something like that, they must contact their municipal clerk. At that point, Rockbridge would be Sheriff Miller if that's the case, or whoever was running for your district. I know you got Henry out of there too. But all of that is done through their municipal clerk. So again, if people don't understand that, I'm happy to explain that.
I explained it to them, but when it got to the point where they didn't have a computer, then I didn't know.
Yeah.
I assumed it would be going through the clerk, but.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But we're happy to clarify that, and I have to clarify that to a lot of people because, not everyone's aware that we have 22 municipalities in the county of Richland, so we explain that on a pretty regular basis, especially with election season starting here.
Is there any way that, I know it costs money to put it in the town paper, to put a nice map that people could actually read? To see, well, okay, I live here, so this is my.
We've tried to do that when we do the vacancies and to take an ad that's gonna be the size that can really be seen is going to cost loads of money. I mean, over $600-700 probably, because one of those little county board vacancy ads are between $250 and $350, $400. So again, that's nice, but we also have them here too. So if someone wants a map, they can come and get one here that's bigger than gonna be in the paper and probably easier to read, and not everyone, gets or looks at those papers as I've seen by running ads and having no response to it, so. I think it costs a lot of money to do that. If you guys wanna do that, feel free, but you're gonna spend some cash.
I finally quit advertising in the shopping news because I just wasn't getting any response anymore. And the township looked at, what, a half a page ad, I think it was, and for
Yeah.
weeks was over $970.
Website works good on the township, doesn't work good for this situation, but it saved township a ton of money when you don't have to post for it. So.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
constant problem.
No, that was gonna be agenda item. I thought we would have all of our paperwork will be in, right, by next meeting, who's gonna be running.
If you all turn it in, it'll be in, I don't know. You haven't told the deadline that you were given on your little info sheet there, so in theory.
In theory, we'll know, so it'll be we can discuss it, put it down as an agenda.
What do you want that agenda? item?
Oh, just, those that have declared non-candidacy.
So if you go on the county's website, on the elections tab, the homepage of the website has a bunch of little things on the side. There's one that says specifically elections. If you click on that, it's going to give you all the unofficial. And I'm going to tell you, these are unofficial results for the ones we get on election night. All the results, I think it goes back to 2008 or something, I don't know. But if you look on the left-hand side of that page, there's this thing called a ballot access tracker that I've been updating almost daily, but as people turn stuff in and things are certified, it's posted on the county's website. It's also printed on the bulletin board down on the first floor of the courthouse and on my office windows. So that will also tell you the dates in which people turn papers in, things are certified and that kind of stuff. So that will give you a good idea of who's turned stuff in. Candidates aren't required to come to the county clerk's office to get papers. They can print them offline themselves as well. They don't have to get them from me. They just have to turn them into me. So if you want to look up there, you'll be able to see updating it as often as I can.
Yeah. Anybody else have any agenda items? Motion to adjourn till, when is our next meeting in January?
13,
January 13th,
5 p.m.
5 p.m. All right, we're adjourning till motion by Manning, seconded by Mr. Schoonover.
Yeah.
All those in favor of adjourning till January 13th at 5 p.m., signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, thank you all.